nagkaroon ng time na nawala yung self-worth ko.
You know, you have to work to help your husband with the finances, to help prepare finances for your children for their future.
Kasi dito sa Pilipinas, pag age mo ng 35, wala na. Para kasing etsapuera ka na.
And it feels like hindi ko alam kung paano ko mag-gain yung confidence ko pag naging mom na sila. Parang nawawala na yung career path nila.
Kasi na-fed up ako sa sobrang traffic. So, papasok, dahil madaling araw, either mag-grab ako or mag-aangkas, which is malaki-laki yung expenses.
The time spent with your kids and family are far more important than any job title out there.
Nag-decide ako na maghanap ng online job at nakakuha nga ako. Sobrang saya ko talaga. Kaya tinulungan ko rin yung iba kong mga mommy friends at nagkaroon rin sila ng sarili nilang online job. Kaya doon ako na-inspire at nag-decide na simula ng Filipina home-based moms.
FHMoms community was created for mothers, for single women, for women professionals and entrepreneurs, for women overseas Filipino workers, for differently abled women, and even for young at heart women. FHMoms is a women community.
Nung nagsimula yung FHMoms, hindi ko in-expect na ganito ka magiging malaki. Ngayon, meron na kaming more than 250,000 members nationwide. Dati, ang tingin ng mga tao sa amin, community lang. No? Ngayon, social enterprise na kami with different projects na tumutulong sa mga kababaihan.
We have free webinars about freelancing, entrepreneurship, parenting, and personal growth. We offer online short courses as well as mastery courses with trainers' 1-year support. We also run a scholarship program and an internship program. We also facilitate charity activities where we are joined by community members as volunteers. Job matching program is something they can also look forward to, as well as e-commerce program. And to celebrate motherhood, we also have online bootcamp for kids. We also have the computer rent-to-own program for members who need assistance in acquiring a computer set. Aspire to be a strong-willed, independent woman.
Mas gusto kong maging productive at saka naniniwala ako sa continuous learning.
Inspire other women.
Everyone was uplifting each other. Everyone was trying to help each other. In this world, you have to be more kind. You have to be more helpful because everyone is fighting their own battles, and you have to understand, you have to empathize, and that is what FHMoms is doing with all the moms out there. Even if you're not a mom, you would feel welcome.
Empower each woman to be in their fullest potential.
And most importantly, Mommy MK and the team model humility and generosity. Talagang ito yung very evident, which impacted me the most. So it gave me the desire to share freely to others what I learned freely from the FHMoms community. And I've always loved the community, the motive of the community, that is to change the world one mom at a time. Good job, FHMoms.
Aspire, inspire, empower. Nothing is stronger than a community of women lifting each other up.
To be among women who have genuinely tried to help people. This is something that I feel passionately about, and then this is something that I saw in FHMoms.
God is good. Kasi parang naturo sa akin itong FHMoms na pinakita sa akin na kahit nasa bahay ka, kahit nag-aalaga ka ng anak mo, it won't stop na dun ka lang. Yun lang yung pwede mong gawin.
Without this community, I'm not here in this situation. So FHMoms po yung nag-guide and nag-mold sa akin to be the best working at home mom I could ever be.
Ang pinakamalaking impact sa FHMoms sa akin is their quote, which is moving forward, giving back. That's the very essence of FHMoms eh.
That's what I like about this group kasi we encourage and inspire each other to keep dreaming, to chase our dreams. It's actually a big impact kasi if you are losing hope and wala ka ng gana and all, but because of this page, mapapasana all ka.
Dahil sa online job, natupad ko yung mga pangarap ko at Ang pinakapangarap ko na lang ay matupad yung pangarap ng lahat ng mga mommies. Huwag tayong titigil na abutin lahat ng mga pangarap natin, masipagan pa natin at huwag tayong susuko. Kaya kung feeling nyo hindi kayo techie, feeling nyo hindi pasok ang edad nyo para dito sa online freelancing, huwag nyong iisipin yon kasi sobrang daming opportunities ang pwedeng ibigay sa inyo online. At nandito ang Filipina home-based moms para suportahan kayo. Para sa mga naghahanap ng online job at gusto ring matuto pagdating sa online business, you can join Filipina Home-Based Moms Facebook group. My name is MK Bertulfo, CEO and founder of Filipina Home-Based Moms, and our goal is to change lives one mom at a time.
Hello mga mommies! Good evening po sa inyong lahat! Kumusta po kayo? Ayan, so syempre shoutout muna tayo sa mga mommies na nanonood sa atin tonight. Don't forget to like, share, and tag our live tonight kasi po, syempre the more the merrier po tayo. Marami tayong matututunan ngayon, lalong-lalo na sa mga kagaya kung hindi naman ganun ka-techie. Pero we need some of the ideas, lalo na pagdating sa PC hacks and troubleshooting tips dahil hindi naman palagi na andiyan ang ating mister, ang ating partner, para tulungan tayo sa ating mga problema pagdating sa PC. Nako, talaga namang ngayon, this is our very first of the many webinars na kasama natin ang ating partner brand. Kasi po, monthly, magkakaroon na po tayo ng webinar all about our tech, di ba? Tech Day, ika nga. Ayan. So, ready na ba kayo? Shout out muna tayo, mga momshies. Ayan, I wanna see. Shout out tayo una. Si Mami. Hello kay Mami Daiseril Dairen watching from Tanza, Cavite. So again, don't forget to share this live ha. Si Mami Donna Oblenida Morong. Okay, tinag niya si Mamshi Maybella Morong. Nood na kayo, mga moms. Go lang tayo. Si Mami Jacqueline Miguel Kilisa watching from Isabela. Uya, ingat-ingat po. 'Di ba? Meron 2 bagyo na paparating sa Philippine Area of Responsibility. So ingat tayo. Mula sa Bulacan, hindi ko nabasa 'yon. Sorry, paki-flash po uli. Mula po sa Bulacan si Mami. Meron pang isa kanina, si Mami. Si Mami Ace ay mula sa Santa Maria, Bulacan. Hello, good evening po sa inyo. Ayun, si Mami Pau Pau watching from Bulacan. Good evening po sa inyong lahat. So, gusto ko munang malaman mga moms, no, sino ba sa inyo or sino ba sa atin ang nagkakaroon ng problema or hindi naman ganun kateki pagdating sa paggamit ng PC or pag-navigate ng computer. Ayan, type yes. Ako po yun. Ako guilty talaga ako dyan. Buti na lang talaga, kahit na malayo si partner, merong team viewer. So, ginagamit namin yung team viewer talaga kapag, may mga questions ako. O hindi madilim yung ganito ko. Lumaki yung ganitong text nung computer ko. Ay, nako. Ayan. O, diba? Ang dami. Si Mami Lori Me, si Mami Rina, nakikita ko sa comment section, no? So, talagang, it is also best na meron pa rin talaga tayong idea kahit papaano. Kasi, paano nila si Mami Gina? Diba? Yes, me po. Si Mami Jasmine din. Okay, so, ngayon, dahil nga po meron po tayong special webinar simula po ngayong month na ito at sa mga darating na buwan dahil meron na po tayong tatawaging Tech Day kasama ang ating partner brand na IRent Mo. Just to give you a background, si IRent Mo po ang katuwang ng FHMoms pagdating po doon sa computer rent-to-own program ng FHMoms, pati na rin po dun sa Study Now, Pay Later installment plan ng FHMoms sa mastery courses. Ang katuwang po ng FHMoms sa mga programang yan ay ang IRent Mo. Kaya naman, kasama natin tonight ang co-founder ng IRent Mo. At alam niyo po ba, ang IRent Mo ay mas pinadali po nila na magkaroon tayo ng access sa different financing options na pwede nating gamitin, kunyari sa work, sa business, or sa school ng mga bata. Kasi we can pay or pwede tayong bumili ng mga gadgets up to 12 months installment, ha? And they offer 100% online processing. Ang gali, di ba, nung applications nyo. So, pwede kang magpasa ng requirements, ganyan. Mamaya, if you have questions, pwede nating tanungin ang ating speaker tungkol dyan. So, ibig sabihin, hindi mo na kailangan lumabas kasi maa-approve ka na via online, fast approval, and hassle-free shopping. And ang IRent Mo is also an e-commerce store which they cater brand new and used essential items na maaari mo ngang ma-avail through cash or kung gusto mo naman, kung installment, pwedeng-pwede rin po ito. At meron din po silang mga items na pwede nyo pong i-rent for short-term use. Gaya ng, ano-ano po yung mga yon. Hello po, Mami Juliet Go. Sabi niya, hello, Mami Ruth. Hello po, Mami. Good evening po. Ano-ano yung mga pwede natin, yung mga items na ino-offer nila? Computer, laptop, bike, cellphone, at iba pa. Just to give you a quick background, noong pong panahon ng pandemya, nag-offer po ng bike for rent ang i-rent mo. And nakakatuwa kasi yung mga frontliners natin, medical workers, they were able to provide ang i-rent mo. Nakapag-provide po sila ng free rent, libreng rent po ng bicycles noong kasagsagan ng pandemya. Nakakatuwa naman. Ang galing-galing. So, hindi ko na po patatagalin pa. Ready na ba kayo mga mommies? Type in yes kung ready na kayo. Kung may mga questions, feel free to comment it down na as early as now. 'Di ba? Para mas marami tayong ma-accommodate na questions later on. Let me introduce ang ating guest speaker, ang co-founder ng IRent Mo. We have Mr. Paul Ian Serrato. Sir Paul, take it away. The floor is yours. See you later.
Thank you, Mami Ruth. Magandang gabi sa lahat ng mga mommies. Ako po si Paul Serrato and I work at IRent Mo. And I am here to provide you with a bit of knowledge on how to handle yung mga computer problems that we typically encounter. So I hope na maging useful ito para sa inyo. Yes, good evening po, ma'am. I'm Juliet, I can see. So, ano po, ayan, hopefully it would help you in dealing with typical computer problems. And siguro, equip you with knowledge dun sa, halimbawa, magsiset up kayo ng bagong computer, gano'n. So, without further ado, I'll start with my presentation. Ayan. So, our goal today, as I've said kanina, is to provide yung parang first aid lang or first response whenever you encounter problems with your PC. Pero before
Sir
that,
Paul, sorry. I think meron tayong parang feedback lang sa ano, dun sa gadget niyo yata. Sorry Oo, kasi meron pong feedback tayo. Ayan. Thank you. Ayan. So, ganun talaga. So,
okay na po, ma'am.
yan. Okay na ba? Wala nang feedback? Type it yes, no? Okay. So, meron pa ba nag-e-echo? Parang sa akin wala na. Wala nang nag-e-echo. May nag-e-echo ba? Okay, wala na daw. So, Sir Paul, take it. See you later po.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that kasi I'm using three screens right now. So, let me know kung meron pa rin feedback. Ayan. So, throughout this presentation, we're going to discuss the following. So, basic computer knowledge. So, to give you a better understanding of what comes later on. Kasi, syempre, we don't want to go deep kaagad. So, yung basics muna. So, also, we're going to discuss basic work from home essentials for stay-at-home moms para ma-equip kayo with the knowledge you need to help determine what works best for your situation. So, we also have PC hacks and troubleshooting tips, yung main course natin ngayon. Uh, Lalo na dun sa mga mommies na hindi masyadong techie. These are simple guidelines lang on how to respond to common computer problems. And lastly, how can you speed up your current PC while on a budget? So tips lang on economical ways to optimize your PC's performance. Okay, so let's begin by talking about common computer knowledge. So knowing how your
Sir
computer
Paul,
functions.
sorry. Meron pa ring uli daw na
Okay,
feedback. Po.
exit ko na lang ma'am yung sa ano ko, yung sa phone.
Yes,
Okay
sige
na
po
po
sir.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Ayan. Sorry about that.
Ayan, naririnig pa ba ako sa feedback? Ayun, para may feedback pa rin.
Okay, well, let me exit.
Ayan. So mga mommies, ako get ready ha, yung mga questions niyo. Alam niyo,
Ayan.
Sir Paul has been working with computers for 20 years na po. So, ngayon,
Ayan.
siyempre, aanihin natin, doon muna tayo sa basic night. Baka kasi sumakit
So,
yung ulo. Ako din, baka sumakit yung ulo ko, no, Sir Paul. Hahanda lang
so
tayo
ma'am,
dun sa PC hacks. Ayan.
opo,
Ready pa ba? Meron pa bang feedback?
okay
Ayan,
na po.
parang okay na. Thank you.
Okay. So, sorry about that again. So, ngayon, alam niyo na yung age ko kasi 20 plus years sa computers pa lang, di ba? So, ayun. So, yung unahin natin is yung key components of a computer. So, yun yung commonly heard parts ng computer. Usually, ito yung tinatanong natin when it comes to inquiring about a new PC pag bibili tayo. So, ano-ano ba yun? There's the processor or the CPU, yung Intel Core i5, Ryzen 5, yan yung CPU. We have the RAM or random access memory. We'll know more about that later. Yung storage natin, HDD or SSD. And we also have yung PSU or power supply unit, not to be mistaken with AVR. Ha? So these four components are key in making your computer work. Without them, you don't have a functioning computer. So number one, na key component is the CPU, or more commonly known as the processor. Ang main function ng CPU is to retrieve and execute instructions. So siya yung utak ng computer natin. It is also the most important part of your PC. Essentially, it tells what your other PC components what to do and how to do it. So yan, siya yung nagko-command. Siya yung nagbibigay ng instructions sa lahat ng parts ng computer. And then, just a quick tip for when you're buying a new PC. So, unless your company specifically requires a specific brand of processor, huwag niyo i-limit yung sarili niyo sa Intel Core i5. We also have another brand called AMD, which produce yung Ryzen series ng mga CPUs. So, basically, AMDs are much cheaper and they perform better. So, weird, di ba? But basically, if you're looking for a more economical CPU, the Ryzen is the way to go. Unless yun nga, required talaga na i5, di ba? So, just a bit of a tip regarding when you're shopping for a new computer. Consider the other brands. So, dalawa lang kasi, Intel and AMD. So the second key component is yung RAM or random access memory. So para siyang think of it as parang index card notes ng computer natin. So you use it or the computer uses it to remember current talking points when you're presenting. So in case of your PC, it temporarily holds relevant data or information so that the computer CPU could quickly access it during use. So parang pinapadali niya yung buhay ng CPU. So if your work involves multiple instances of an application running simultaneously, useful yung RAM. So basically, it lets your computer multitask better. So magiging mas efficient yung computer mo if you have bigger RAM. So dati, nung panahon ko, nung bata pa ako, ano lang, 2 gig RAM, 4 gig RAM, enough na. Ngayon, 8 gig RAM, minsan kinakapos pa. So if you're doing, let's say, uh, photo editing and at the same time you're doing Excel files, it's better if you have bigger RAM, like 16 gigabytes of RAM at least. So mura lang ang RAM, ah. It's you could actually buy a stick of RAM for 1,800. So later on we'll discuss how this is valuable to you. The third key component is the storage. So it's either an HDD or SSD. It's the same. It stores data, which includes applications, files, documents, images, and even games. Diyan siya sinisave. So magkaiba yung storage sa memory. Kanina yung RAM, yun yung memory. Storage, dito lang parang sinisave. So it's important kasi without it, you don't have anywhere to place your files into, di ba? And then, yan. So ano ba ang difference ng HDD and SSD? So as mentioned, yun nga, ang pareho na sila na nagsistore ng data. Pero yung HDD, it's an older technology. So if you look at the picture, meron siyang platter, and then meron siyang parang arm. It's called a moving actuator arm. So siya yung nagbabasa ng data dun sa disk. Whereas yung SSD, mga nodes lang siya, mga chips. So it's much faster. It's not physically moving kasi. So your data is instantly accessible para sa CPU mo. So SSD, basta yun lang, keep in mind, kasi yun nga, without being techie, keep in mind na the SSD is much faster than HDD. Although, ang ginagawa ng karamihan, bumibili sila ng pareho, dual disk drive. So, dual drive. So, meron silang HDD for storage lang, and the SSD where they install yung mga programs nila para mas mabilis na execute. Yan. Kasi mas mura yung HDD. So, you can buy a 2 terabyte HDD and then a smaller SSD. And then the last key component is the PSU or power supply unit. So, the PSU is, parang basically siya yung nag-provide ng power or siya yung nag-convert or nagdi-distribute ng power sa lahat ng components ng computer mo. So, depende sa system na bubuin mo, iba-iba yung mabibili mo na wattage. Typically, yung mga standard systems, you only need 200 watts to 300 watts of power. Medyo sobra pa nga yan eh. Pero if you have a GPU and if you have a powerful CPU, you'd need a bigger wattage. And you have to make sure that if you're utilizing a lot of power, you have to get a rated PSU. I think you've heard of it na, rated, true rated PSU. 80 plus or 80 plus bronze, silver, gold, iba-iba yun eh. So, parang ano na siya, hierarchy. 80 plus, white, yun yung pinakamababa na rated. So, yung rated na pinakamababa, mas maganda pa rin siya kaysa dun sa unrated na PSU. So, 80 plus white, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and titanium. So, the more expensive the yung kumbaga mas mas maganda yung power draw niya or yung distribution niya ng power. Pero typically 80 plus bronze okay na yan. And then ito siguro although hindi siya key component kasi magpa-function na yung computer mo without these. Pero you need them to be able to talk to your computer. So these are yung input and output devices. So first, your monitor, of course. This lets you view what your computer is displaying or computing for you, di ba? You also have the keyboard and the mouse. Ito naman yung mga input devices. So this lets you tell what your computer to do, di ba? So iba-iba yung presyo niyan. Depende dun sa quality mo. Pagka wireless na mouse or keyboard, mas mahal. Pero wired is okay kasi mas maganda yung latency or wala siyang delay. So last, GPU or graphics processing unit. So if your work involves graphics, design, video editing, 3D rendering, CAD applications, you would need a GPU. So the GPU basically assists yung CPU in manipulating these graphics, di ba? So may RAM din yan may parang built-in RAM. So it's not very important to know yung kumbaga complications in terms of sa GPU. Pero just know that if you're doing graphics work and similar applications, you need a GPU. Kasi pagka CPU mo lang, mahirapan talaga siya. Medyo mahal din pala yung GPU. So, bear that in mind. So, iba-iba yung price niya pero medyo mas mahal siya compared sa other components. So, let's talk about yung mga basic work from home essentials for freelancers or for moms working at home. So, unang-una, syempre, good internet connection. So, usually, you need at least 25 Mbps and fiber para mas, kumbaga, mas consistent yung connection. And I usually recommend na meron kayong backup na LTE connection. Kasi alam na natin medyo hindi reliable yung mga internet providers natin. So an LTE backup could be your phone, simply your phone. So if your phone could create what do you call this, Wi-Fi hotspot, you're good to go. That could serve as your backup LTE. Tapos ito, kasi usually when you buy a computer, especially desktop, we immediately think na, oh, okay, we could use it na when we get home, di ba? But then, magugulat na lang tayo, walang internet. So, you have to buy an external or a USB Wi-Fi adapter for Wi-Fi to get picked up by your PC. Usually kasi yung may mga Wi-Fi capabilities, yung mga laptops. Pero yung mga regular computers, wala talaga siyang Wi-Fi connectivity out of the box. So yeah, so it's important then to keep that in mind. And then a good headset. So usually, based on experience, a good headset is yung isa lang yung earphones. So you could hear yourself talking. So it's very important, especially if you have clients that you talk to on a regular basis. So para hindi muffled yung voice mo while you're talking. So yeah, a lot of these headphones come from Plantronics. So may mga mura rin silang mga models. And of course, a comfortable table and chair setup. So, yun nga, mas maganda yung parang comfortable ka so you could work better, di ba? And then, yeah, of course, if you're a tea person or a coffee person, it helps you relax, especially during stressful work days, di ba? Oh yeah, let's go now to computer hacks and troubleshooting tips. Hopefully, you were able to parang prepare yourself through yung pinagdaanan natin regarding sa basic computer knowledge to help you understand yung next set of slides. So first, let's talk about computer care. So it's always better to prevent things from happening to your computer rather than to firefight all the time, diba? So I know how tempting it is to save on major bucks by downloading pirated software. Pero be very careful of malicious programs embedded into some of these software. Some can fish through your accounts, access important information, and even hold your computer ransom. Tapos, some of them could even actually break everything in your system. Kasi meron silang mga programs na kaya niyang i-overheat yung system mo by running multiple instances of an application. So before, akala natin, it's just a virus. You could just clean it with an antivirus software. They have become more sophisticated nowadays. They could hold your data at ransom and like I've said, overheat your system into breaking it. So if you would really want to save money on software, there are numerous legitimate sellers, even on Shopee. They could provide you with legitimate MS Office installations, as well as other programs. Parang i-include lang kayo sa group access. You only have to pay once and minsan hindi siya masyado expensive. So like I've said, make sure that everything is legit with your computer. So first is yung Windows OS. Make sure that it's licensed and make sure that you do daily scans. Excuse me. So yung Windows kasi may built-in security na siya. It's called Windows Security. So it scans your system for viruses and malware. So important yun. I scan my computer daily. Kasi you never know. Di ba? Lalo na if you're working, you're busy working, you access a lot of websites. So scan your computer before the end of the day just to see kung meron naka-infiltrate na virus. And do not plug USB thumb drives that you're not familiar with into your computer. A lot of Trojan viruses. We call them Trojan kasi they disguise themselves as regular installation programs. Pero actually, once na naka-enter na sila sa system mo, they wreak havoc. So be careful. Don't plug everything in just like that. Unless you know the person who provided it. And very important, but seldom done by people, yung dusting off their computers at least once a week. Or deep cleaning your computer every 6 months or so. Ganun. So, kasi ang dust, it blocks off yung mga vents ng computer natin. And if those vents are blocked, and if yung mga components natin na nagkaroon na ng layers ng alikabok, it would overheat the system. And heat is the number one enemy of electronics. So heat and moisture, of course. Pero in this regard, pag masyadong mainit, mas mabilis masira yung PC natin. So with that aside, let's go to troubleshooting tips. So pag nagkaroon ng problem yung computer natin, so what do we do? What is the first thing we do, di ba? Ito yung parang quick initial steps for any computer problem. So una-una, check natin yung cable. Regardless of the problem, check nyo yung cable, nakasaksak ba siya? Baka nagsaspark na yung cable natin, di ba? And then, check nyo rin yung power button sa likod kung naka-off or naka-on ba. And then, ito, I think some of you have heard it na, yung RAM, just unlatch it and then rub it with an eraser. Kasi usually may static build-up. Lalo na kung matagal na natin hindi nalilinis yung computer natin. Static build-up. Hindi siya nade-detect ng system natin. So, unlatch niya lang, eraser niya lang yung gold edge, and then plug it back in. And then check your monitor. Check ulit yung cable. It might be turned off lang, di ba? Okay, so ito, specific naman. Specific, the PC doesn't light up when powered on. So unang-una, ulit, cable. Check the cable. If the cable is plugged in properly naman, try another cable, di ba? Tapos, if it's plugged into a power strip, yung extension cord, try plugging it directly sa wall or try plugging it to a different wall outlet. Minsan kasi, sa mga, lalo na yung mga lumang bahay, hindi consistent yung power or yung electricity na nagfo-flow sa mga outlets. So, try niya lang if ever ayaw mag-on. Try niyo isaksak sa ibang saksakan. And try niyo palitan ng cable. Minsan yun yung nasisira nauna, yung cable, yung power cable. Ito naman, nagla-light up yung PC. So pag inon niyo yung PC, umiilaw siya, pero walang display yung monitor. So, ang check naman natin dito, hindi yung power button. Check natin yung display cable. It's either an HDMI, VGA, DisplayPort, DVI, whatever your display cable is. Check nyo lang. It might be unplugged or it might be loose. Check it from both ends. Sa PC and dun sa monitor. Check nyo kung naka-plug siya ng maayos. And ensure that the monitor is turned on. One thing is pwede nyo ring on and off yung monitor and see if this display pops up. You can also check yung kung anong display. Kasi may mga monitors tayo na iba-iba yung saksahan niya. May HDMI siya, DisplayPort. Try to switch yung different displays niya and see if it's able to detect your PC. Also, if you have a GPU, you have to plug yung cable dun sa GPU. Kasi if you look at your PC, meron siyang sariling display outlets. And then meron siyang, pag nilagyan niya ng GPU, may sarili ng display outlets din yung GPU. So you have to plug it sa GPU. But if you don't have a GPU, just plug it on the computer. Okay, keyboard and mouse are not responding. So, ganun ulit, unplug the unresponsive device and wait for a few minutes and plug it back in. And then, minsan, you have to wait for it to install then before it works. So, patience is key. And then, isa pa is try to use a different USB port. So, yun yung mga basic troubleshooting. Kung ayaw gumana dun sa current port, try a different port until it works. And give it some time. And isa pa is, katulad kanina, dusting off is important. So, check mo yung port kung may alikabok. Kasi yung mga contacts ng ano natin, ng mga cables, pag nablock yan, hindi siya magsasend ng data. So, use a vacuum cleaner or a blower. So, if you're using a wireless mouse or keyboard, simply reset it. Try to reset it. On, off lang. Off mo siya ng matagal and then on. Okay, ito. This is probably one of the most complicated na issues na pwede niya ma-encounter. The blue screen of death. So it looks like this. So your PC ran into a problem and needs to restart. Pero it's not always death to your computer. It basically means that your Windows OS ran into a serious problem. So the problem could be hardware or software. So normally naman magre-restart yung Windows pag nagkaroon ng ganyan. So makita niyo may 20% complete sa image. Usually mabubuo yan and then Windows would restart. And nare-resolve na siya by itself, usually. Pero, if it happens a lot na nagkaka-blue screen of death or BSOD, and or if nag-blue screen tapos hindi na siya nag-restart. If this happens, yung first step is you have to determine kung ano yung specific problem that caused the blue screen. So, ang first thing to do is you have to disable yung automatic restart ng PC nyo. So, makikita niyo yan by going to properties sa advanced system settings. Siguro I'll also send yung instructions. Ipopost ko na lang para makita niyo later on. Pero yun nga, i-disable niyo yung automatic restart para hindi siya mabilis magre-restart. You'll be able to see yung, if you see this image, stop code, critical process died. That's the error code. So you have to find out kung ano yung error code. So once na makita niyo yung error code, you can show that to the technician. Kasi usually, these problems na serious versions ng BSOD, ang makakatulong talaga sa inyo, yung technician. It's either hardware nga kasi, di ba, or software, you have to reformat. So, yun yung unang-unang step, determine the problem. Take a picture of it. Pag nakita niyo yan, picture niyo yung yung uh, code, yung error code. Ganun. And then if ever you're able to go back to your system naman, ang pwede mong gawin just to be extra sure, scan mo yung computer mo for viruses and malware. Minsan kasi yung BSOD, nagko-cost din na, ang nagko-cost din is yung mga virus or malware. And make sure to always update Windows or yung OS mo. So that's why I'm stressing out na make sure that your Windows OS is legit or licensed. Kasi you won't be able to update if you have a pirated copy of Windows. Hindi rin mag-a-apply yung mga security patches with the update. Also, yung mga hardware, may GPU ka, you have to update din yung driver or firmware ng GPU mo. So, ganun. Basta pag may BSOD, make sure to take a picture of the code or the error code. And then, you could either Google it and see, baka naman ano lang siya, yung RAM, maluwag lang pala. So, try mo, i-reset mo na lang yung RAM. Or, yun nga, isend mo na lang sa technician. Don't give yourself the headache of trying to figure out what to do. Ang importante, at least meron kang first aid na ginawa, hindi natatagal yung process dun sa technician, di ba? So ito, viruses and malware. I've been very, kumbaga, firm dun sa be very careful about viruses and malware. Sobrang headache. Ang masama pa dyan, you won't really know immediately na meron kang virus or malware sa computer mo. These are one of the worst things that could happen to you and to your computer. They could make your files disappear. They could make your programs work erratically. They could even lock you out of your computer. Ransomware ang tawag yun. And pwede nilang nakawin yung identity mo or yung account details mo. So pag na-hijack nila yung account details mo, di ba usually lahat tayo ngayon online banking na, di ba? They could get that information and steal money from you. And yun nga, as I mentioned earlier, they could actually cause physical harm sa computer mo by overheating it. So, how do we determine ba that our computer has a virus or a malware? So, some telltale signs of a virus is yung computer mo is all of a sudden slow or parang naglalag siya. Minsan parang iaano mo yan dun sa nabenta na napagbilan ng computer. Bakit ganun? Biglang ang bagal ng PC ko. Ganun. Usually, ang una nila sasabihin, scan your computer for viruses. It might be a virus or a malware. Diba? So how do you check? Go to Task Manager. So right-click mo lang yung taskbar. And then, check mo yung CPU and RAM usage. Usually, pag sobrang taas niya, tapos consistent siyang mataas, it might be a virus or a program running rogue. So, pag ganun, ibig sabihin, baka may virus, baka. Minsan din, pwede mo i-check yung Wi-Fi. Kasi ngayon, nauso yung mga crypto, may mga virus na nagmamine remotely. So check your internet, yung Wi-Fi or yung internet. If it's consistently high then and you're not downloading or uploading anything, it might be a virus. So also if your computer locks up or if it's unresponsive, it might be a virus. Minsan din you'll notice yung mga may virus na computers, minsan parang nag-run na lang yung programs by itself or the mouse moves by itself. It might be a virus. So minsan din yan parang pag mabagal yung internet, pero wala namang ibang gumagamit. It might be a virus or maybe yung neighbor mo ginagamit na yung wifi mo. So check nyo na lang. So how do you prevent viruses, or what do you do if your computer gets infected? So as mentioned earlier, prevention is always better than any cure. So to prevent viruses from entering your computer system, do not go to unsecured websites. So do not visit suspicious websites like yung mga malicious sites, yung mga unknown torrent sites. Google nyo na lang kung gusto nyo talagang pumunta sa mga torrent sites. Google nyo yung mga safe torrent sites. So also don't click on unsolicited links. Usually sa messenger, biglang may magsasend sa yung kaibigan na parang link and parang out of the blue. As much as possible, don't click on these links. Even sa email, di ba? Mga Nigerian prince na ano, ganun. Don't click on links from suspicious individuals. Also, do not download suspicious files. So if you're going to download files from known torrents, make sure to read comments first. Minsan may comments na ngayon, say, or if you see something like, I got infected by downloading this file, stay away. So install legitimate copies of programs, like of course Windows, MS Office. So make sure that they're licensed. And always keep your system updated. Updates include security patches and measures to combat viruses and malware. And yun nga, regular scan your computer for viruses. So what do you do if your computer gets infected and you're not very computer savvy? So your best bet is of course to bring it to a technician. But you can minimize yung damage by doing the following. So first response is disconnect from the internet. Turn off the Wi-Fi or unplug the LAN cable and boot into safe mode. So pag naka-safe mode kasi parang naka-ano siya, naka-troubleshooting mode pagka safe mode. So how do you boot into safe mode? So hold nyo lang yung shift key while clicking restart. And then when your PC restarts, pipiliin nyo lang yung troubleshoot. May lalabas na option dun sa screen. Click nyo yung troubleshoot and then advanced options, tapos startup settings, and then restart. Then after your PC restarts, pipiliin mo yung number 4. Actually, makikita mo yan, safe mode. Piliin nyo lang siya. And habang nasa safe mode, yun nga, yung Windows system mo, makaka-load siya. Hindi kasi mag-activate yung virus kasi walang ibang programs na mag-activate during safe mode. From here, pwede ka nang mag-Google using your phone. What may be causing the problem. Usually kasi pag mga virus, may mga ano yun, meron silang mga signature. May parang recurrent theme na, halimbawa, bigla na lang nagpa-pop up yung certain program na ito. Halimbawa, Chromium. Parang yung browser mo, imbis na Google Chrome, Chromium na siya. So it's actually a virus. So there are specific programs for certain viruses. So a simple Google search would yield results to help you parang download and fix yung problems. Pero usually, napakahirap niya. Let me tell you, pag may virus ka, kahit akala mo na fix mo na, biglang meron pa, pag scanan mo ulit. So it's always best na at least na-determine mo lang and you're able to disconnect quickly sa computer. And then yun nga, dalhin mo na lang sa technician or someone very knowledgeable to help you fix yung issue. Yung iba dyan, sabihin, reformat na lang. So it's really the quickest way to eliminate viruses. Pero if you have important files, what can you do, di ba? You have to seek professional advice. So, ayan. So, ito yung parang last resort. Pagka talagang hindi mo na ma-determine yung sira or talagang parang feeling mo factory defect siya. So if you've done everything in your power to troubleshoot your computer's problem, it still persists, check your shop's warranty policy. So yun yung unang gagawin. Check yung warranty policy. I-review mo yung warranty details. So if your problem is software or if your problem was due to neglect, yun nga lang, unfortunately, usually, yung mga shops, hindi nila i-honor yung warranty. Kasi yung software kasi you have to take care of your system software. Yung nga, you have to be careful of viruses. Hindi kasi yan covered ng warranty. And if parang nabagsak mo, di ba, or nadaganan mo yung laptop mo, usually malalaman yun ng shop. So hindi nila i-honor yung warranty. Pero if it is covered, pag sa tingin mo covered, di ba, hindi ka naman neglectful dun sa computer mo, and hindi naman software yung problem, just call or message the shop to inform them of the problem. Minsan kasi baka nang madali lang yung solution or hindi mo na naisip yung solution, usually yung technician nila makakapag-provide ng solution. So, call them up first or chat with them and then let them know the problem. Pero kung hindi talaga ma-resolve yung problem over the phone or chat, ipa-warranty check nyo na. So, just send the PC to your shop or to the supplier para ma-check nila for warranty. So, you have to keep in mind though that for system builds, yung built na computers, yung hindi siya parang isang brand lang, Dell or Acer na system, usually yung mga pre-built systems, pagka yung binuo from different manufacturer parts, minsan iba-iba yung warranty for each part. So, typically, most parts come with a 1-year warranty. Pero there are exceptions. So you have to keep that in mind. So minsan, ito, yung monitor. So I'm telling you this kasi you have to check, bale. Siguro, before mag-expire yung warranty, monitor mo na yung components na mga ito before they give out na di ba, malaman mo too late na hindi na pala under warranty. So usually monitors, yung mga cheaper brands ng monitors, minsan 6-month lang yung warranty nila. Pero yung mga known brands like Dell, Lenovo, Gigabyte, 1 year yung warranty. So dun nagmamatter yung known brands. Kasi yung mga cheaper brands, they offer lesser warranty. Sa hard drive and SSD rin, ganun din. Yung mga cheaper brands, 6-month warranty lang. Yung Samsung actually, they even provide up to 5 years of warranty, depending on the model. Yung mga mas mahal nilang mga SSD, 5 years yung warranty. Pero yung mga cheaper brands, like Ramsta, minsan 6 months lang yung pinaprovide nila. Power supply units, actually ito yung pinaka mabilis masira, especially for cheaper brands. Minsan 1 month lang yung warranty ng cheaper brands. Yung mga bigger brands like Gigabyte, Aorus, 1 year yung warranty nila. And of course, mga second-hand units. Mga second-hand units, you have to manage your risk. Although they are cheaper, minsan sa kanila 1 month warranty lang, 7 days replacement, 1 month. Pero yung mga brand new na mga units, yun nga, 1 year. Meron pa nga minsan pagka promo nila, 2 years yung warranty. So you have to manage your risks when buying second-hand units. Ayan. So yan, keep in mind, warranties differ for different parts. So you have to double check each time. So how does the warranty process work? So before you send your unit in for warranty checking, you have to keep in mind the following. So first, inform your shop para ma-check nyo if they're open to receive your computer for inspection. Kasi yun yung first step, i-inspect nila if there are no signs of neglect or if sa kanila nyo nga binili yung product, di ba? Number 2, if they agree to a schedule, send yung computer or bring it yourself. make sure to bring the following. Ito this is really important. So of course, yung computer unit, and you have to make sure na kung hindi ikaw mismo yung magpapadala, put it in a padded box and then wrap mo sa plastic. Kasi maulan ngayon. Pag nabasa yan, sure, sira yan. And then, make sure to include all the boxes of the parts, yung motherboard, RAM, SSD or HDD, ESU box, isama niyo lahat ng boxes. Kasi yung mga manufacturers, they ask for the box. Ayan. So, if the problem includes your monitor, isama niyo rin yung monitor. So, the next step is the shop will inspect your computer for signs of neglect, ganun nga, and they will either accept or void your warranty, depending on what they find. So if your PC is deemed covered, they will inform you about it and provide you with a timeline of when you can pick up your computer. Usually, pagka fixable yung issue, ano, kung madaling ayusin, you could get it after a day lang or a day or two. Pero there are some pagka malala yung part na nasira for replacement, it could take a month or more. Okay. So when you're experiencing slow internet speeds, so what do you do? What do you usually do? Siyempre, usually tatawagan natin PLDT and then complain, di ba? Pero minsan, it might be uh, caused by other things. Siguro yung setup lang natin sa router, ganun, di ba? So try yung i-disconnect yung power from your router or modem for about 10 to 20 seconds and then plug back in. Minsan, pag pinower cycle natin yung router, naaayos yung slow internet speed. And then if gusto mo talagang bumilis, don't rely on Wi-Fi. Use a LAN cable. This will ensure na uninterrupted yung internet mo. And mas mabilis kasi cable yan eh. On Zoom calls, you have to if ever talagang kailangan mong i-relay yung presentation mo or just turn off your video if you're experiencing significant lag. Usually it's managing yung connection lang, di ba? Or ask yung ibang tao sa bahay not to connect to the internet just for a bit while you're on that important meeting. So the last resort is to use your phone's LTE or yung sinabi ko kanina, yung backup LTE nyo. Yun na lang yung gamitin nyo. At least you know that you're the only one connected to it, di ba? But if your PC is generally slow and it's not caused by the internet, siguro you have to update lang yung drivers, scan for PC or viruses, and update niya lang basta yung mga Windows, yung mga hardware update niya. It might be due to old hardware or firmware lang. So, eto na. This is the last few parts na lang ng presentation. So, how do you speed up your old or current PC while you're on a budget? So, yung pinakamura na upgrade option is yung RAM. So, it's your first bet in improving your system's overall performance. So, although your programs rely on your CPU, yung RAM yung nagpapabilis kasi nung processes. Kasi yun nga, yung CPU, parang tinutulungan niya yung CPU eh. So if you upgrade your RAM from 8 gig to 16 gig or 16 gig to 32 gig, it would significantly boost your system's performance. And it's really cheap. So usually yung upgrade can cost only from 2,000 to 4,000 pesos, depending on the type of RAM that you're gonna get. And then lastly, but actually one of the best solutions to improve your system's performance is upgrade ka na from HDD to SSD. A lot of people overlook the importance of having SSDs. Usually kasi when we're working, ang ina-access talaga natin yung SSD. Although mabilis ang CPU natin, marami tayong RAM. Kung magbagal yung storage natin, you won't experience any type of parang speed. Ika nga. So upgrade your SSD. To feel it is to believe it. And it's not very expensive na rin. There are a lot of SSD providers nowadays. Not just Samsung or Gigabyte. Meron na rin mga cheaper brands and quite reliable na rin. So, yan. So, thank you. Q&A portion na tayo. I'm sorry if I wasn't able to see any of your comments because I had to turn off my phone.
Ayan, thank you, Sir Paul. So, we'll proceed na po to the Q&A. So, nakikita ko yung ibang questions. Actually, Sir Paul, ito personal question. Lagi ka na kung kunyari, naka-StreamYard. Every time na gumagamit ako ng StreamYard, talagang iniiwasan ko yung ibang apps. Kasi parang yung using a gaming laptop na, pero parang mabagal siya, naglalag siya. So, hindi ko sure kung sa internet ba siya or may virus na yung laptop or ano siya or hindi ko alam kung saan yung may problema. So, parang yun yung parang naging problem ng laptop ko right now, Sir Paul. Ano kaya yung
May I ask, ma'am, kung ilang gigs yung RAM ng laptop niyo, ma'am?
8 po yata.
I think that's the culprit. Usually kasi, for example, yung StreamYard, based on dun sa niya, hindi na kasi internet yung kinoconsume niya. I think ina-access din niya yung CPU and yung RAM. So I think upgrading to a 16 gig RAM setup would increase yung performance ng PC mo, ma'am. Also, are you using SSD na rin as storage?
Yes, oo. Meron akong SSD tsaka may hard disk drive.
I think it's RAM po.
It's RAM.
I think it's RAM.
Since
Kasi
laptop
ngayon,
siya, so oo.
Opo. Ngayon kasi, yun nga, katulad ng sinabi ko, nung bata-bata pa ako, nagsimula yung 2 gigs lang. Parang, wow, ang laki, ang yaman mo, 2 gigs RAM, di ba? Ngayon, ang normal na ngayon talaga, 8 gig. Pero if you're doing a lot of things, running a lot of programs, especially if you have a lot of tabs open, siguro marami kayong tabs na naka-open na.
Kaya po pag naka-stream ko siya lahat, talagang ito lang ang gamit ko.
Pero usually pag marami tabs din, mararamdaman niyo yun.
Okay. So talagang upgrade the RAM talaga. Okay. Since lang, so, buy a new one na lang. Buti na lang.
Ay, ma'am, na-upgrade din ang RAM.
Or na-upgrade naman siya.
Na-upgrade din po siya. Opo. You have to be specific lang dun sa type of RAM. If you bring it to a computer shop, they would know immediately kung anong type of RAM that you would need. So,
yung ganitong product, sir, kinikater din ni IRent Mo, if ever?
Yung sa laptops po, na upgrading ng RAM.
Na upgrading ng RAM.
Opo. Kasi usually, pagka yung upgrading ng mga RAM, ng laptop, it's much more technical. So, you really need yung specific modules dun para sa laptop.
Okay.
Opo. Kasi nagpo-provide kami mga desktop na RAM. Meron po. Pero mas madali kasi magpalit eh. Sa laptop kasi, there are certain laptops na you have to use different tools to pry it open. Hindi ka sa desktop. Sa desktop, unscrew mo lang yung likod and then
Oo nga, no? Yes, totoo yan. Kaya pala, Sir Paul, yung sabi mo kanina, yung check yung task manager, I agree kasi pag ko siya, tapos StreamYard, na-use up talaga yung CPU. So,
Okay.
oo. So, feeling ko talaga,
Opo.
so, hindi talaga internet. Okay. Kasi,
Opo.
kahit,
Pag nag-ano kayo ng RAM, yung CPU niya bababa ng konti. Kasi it's able to help the CPU manage everything. Ganun po.
okay. Sige, sir. Thank you po. Now, let's go
You're
to the
welcome po.
first question. Ayan. Mula kay Mami Ace Pampolina Lunasco. Kung napasok na po ng hacker ang computer ko and hindi ko alam, true po ba na iilaw o magbiblink ng red yung webcam ko? Means may nagmamasid sa'yo. Uy, parang nakikita ko lang to sa
Ah, sa
Oo.
movies, no?
Sa
Pero it
movies,
could
oo.
happen. It could happen po, ma'am. Usually, if it's not being used, it's not supposed to be on, di ba? So, kung umiilaw siya ng red, ibig sabihin, it's either, dalawa lang siya. It's either your webcam is malfunctioning or meron na ngang remotely nag-access dun sa webcam niya. Before, what I usually do is, nilalagyan ko ng tape yung
Yes.
webcam ko. Kasi it doesn't mean naman na na-hack na talaga yung system nyo. Minsan, may program na siguro kayo naiwan na nagra-run and then it's uh, accessing your camera. Pero it doesn't necessarily mean na na-hack na yung computer niya. Pero you could always scan your PC and you could check yung task manager and review nyo yung mga programs na nagra-run and see if there are any suspicious programs running. Minsan makikita nyo yun parang siya lang yung sobrang taas ng kinoconsume na CPU or RAM. Pero parang hindi naman siya yung typical yung nakikita sa task manager. So yan, pwede nyo pong tignan yan, Mami Ace, kung meron kayong suspicious programs running via task manager.
Okay,
Pero
thank you.
disconnect nyo na lang po siguro yung webcam ng
Correct.
Opo.
Or dikitan ng
Lagyan
tape.
ng
Ako
tape. Opo.
dinidikitan ko rin ng tape.
Opo.
Ayan. Okay.
Pinakamabisa.
Pinakamabisa. Totoo.
Opo.
Sabi po ni Mami Dairen, ano po kaya dapat kong i-upgrade or gawin sa desktop ko po? Every time I use Adobe softwares, especially AI ba to, o yung other apps po sa PC ko like camera, hindi nag-work. Paano po kaya yun?
Okay. Ang Adobe Illustrator or AI, like Photoshop, hindi sa ng ibang tao, akala nila GPU kasi yung kailangan. Actually, ang number one na ginagamit nila CPU. Pero if you don't have a GPU, it's better if you buy a GPU and install it. Kasi it helps your CPU kumbaga manage yung programs na yan. Siguro nangyayari parang nadadivert ng lahat ng power ng CPU dun sa Adobe software na ginagamit. So, it might be good if you could invest in a GPU.
Yes.
Pero
Okay.
minsan hindi ko rin alam bakit po hindi nag-work. Kasi yun yung medyo weird. Ano po ba, hindi siya nagra-run? Ayaw niya mag-run? Kasi it depends eh. If ayaw niya mag-run, baka may mas malalim na problem. Or kung mabagal lang siya, baka kailangan na ng GPU.
Baka sira na rin yung, pwede ba yun sir? Baka sira na rin yung yung webcam if ever. Kaya,
I think what she means is nag-go off siguro yung webcam or yung pero kung nag-on naman siya after, halimbawa hindi naman niya ginagamit yung AI, yung Adobe Illustrator, it might mean talaga na hindi lang kaya ng computer yung lahat. Pero weird eh, kasi usually pagka hindi kaya, nagsha-shutdown na or nagsuslow down to a crawl. So, it might be that or it might be something deeper. Kasi when it comes to computers, you really can't Kumbaga, you really won't know unless alam mo lahat or nakita mo yung actual.
Mm. Yes, totoo.
Opo.
Kailangan mapa-check din. Ayan. Okay,
Opo,
thank you.
mapacheck na lang para sure.
Next question mula kay Mami is, ayan. Kapag ang isang software po ba ay hindi naka-file extension na .exe, automatic virus yun? Or there are other file extension for application software, not just .exe?
Yung .exe kasi, yun yung ang tawag doon parang executable file. Pero minsan, yung .exe, nasa loob siya ng isa pang file. And usually, minsan din, may mga virus na .exe. Kasi usually, pagka .exe, executable file nga siya. And viruses can be executed as well. So, it doesn't mean na hindi siya .exe virus na siya. May mga ibang mga, not necessarily applications, pero mga registry files, or image files, di ba? Iba rin naman yung extension niya, pero it doesn't mean na virus siya. So, siguro kung yung nakuha niya na file is from yung medyo suspicious na website or from a person na hindi niyo kilala, just refrain from opening them na lang po. Yun yung best na tip ko po na.
Alright, okay. Next question. Mula kay Mami Casey, Facebook user pala. Di po kaya maging incompatible na sa device dahil luma na siya kung mag-upgrade lang ng RAM?
Yes. Actually, very good question. You have to check first if your motherboard is compatible with a certain RAM. So may mga motherboards kasi mga luma. Pwede nyo pa rin naman i-upgrade yung RAM nyo. But you have to look for RAM compatible with your computer's motherboard. So, pwede nyo silipin actually yung motherboard nyo. Usually may mga nakasulat yan kung anong model niya. And then Google nyo na lang kung anong type of RAM yung ina-accept nyo.
Uy, may ganun pala, no? Hindi lang basta-basta.
May compatibility.
May compatibility, okay. Mula kay Mami Casey Rimulta. Conflict po ba na ginagamit ko yung LED TV as second monitor? Kasi napansin ko, parang biglang mamamatay yung display ng ilang seconds, then nag-open ulit. Hindi ko sure kung GPU or alin ang naging problema.
Usually, ma'am, if you're using it as a second monitor, yung TV, even if it's not a TV, may certain sa initiation ng pag-on niya, nag-flicker siya. Kasi parang hinahanap ng computer yung signal. So, ina-identify niya yung first at saka yung second or third na display. So, kung nag-flicker siya, it's not indicative of a problem. Pero if siguro hindi na siya nagdi-display or namatay na completely yung pangalawang display dahil doon, baka may problem po yung GPU. Or kung may artifacts. Usually pagka GPU ang problem, ang mapapansin niyo po unang-una is artifacts. Parang siya, parang itsura niya, parang migraine. Maraming mga spots na iba-ibang colors. Ganun po. Pagka ganun, ibig sabihin may problem yung GPU.
Oh, okay. So, ibig sabihin, ganun ba, sir? Indicative ba yun na may problem yung GPU pag may mga spots na? Regardless kung
Pag may mga spots po. Lalo na kung nagsistay siya ng matagal. Ibig sabihin may problem na po yung GPU. Parang usually it starts na parang green, tapos may green and red, na parang siya parang boxy or parang fragments, ganun yung itsura niya.
Ayan. Naku ha, ngayon ko nalaman yun. So, that's no. Ayan, sabi ni Facebook user, good evening po. Ano yung pwedeng gawin if di na ma-recall yung password sa BitBlocker? Ano ba yung BitBlocker, sir, if we make you po muna?
I'm not very familiar with BitLocker, pero I'm thinking it's a password management application, if I'm not mistaken. Usually for these services, you have to provide them with a secondary email. Contact nyo lang po yung tech support nila, and then usually they would ask for either a specific key para they could provide you with a password reset, or they would send yung password reset dun sa secondary email niya. Or sa email niya, primary email. Baka naman you're not locked out of your primary email. You can just have it reset. If I'm correct, na it's a password management application. I'm not sure kasi I'm not very familiar. I'm sorry. BitLocker.
Ayan. Oo, kasi ako alam ko lang sa password management yung uso-uso pass eh. Okay.
Opo.
Oo, for sure, kontakin mo lang ma'am siguro yung tech support, baka
Tech support.
matulungan.
Lagi po.
Tama si sir, okay. Sabi po ni Mami Marifer Ragasa Tolentino, yung computer ko po ay na-proper shutdown. Kaso parang open yung CPU ko kasi natutunog po siya.
Oh. I think, it happened to me before na rin. Try nyo lang i-update yung system nyo, ma'am. It might be due to, dalawa lang siya. It's either due to yung improper shutdown sa Windows or baka yung BIOS nyo. Pag BIOS na yun, ma'am, when I say BIOS, it's your motherboard. So yung motherboard kasi may sarili siyang parang dashboard. Na-access lang siya during startup. Pagka sa BIOS, wag niyo na lang pong pakialaman. You have to bring it to a technician. Pero if it's sa Windows lang, you can just update it. Make sure it's updated. Usually kasi pagka yung nag-update tapos naputol yung update, nagkakaroon ng ganong problems. So make sure na when you're updating your Windows operating system, na medyo stable yung internet. Kasi usually pagka ganyan, hindi siya na-update ng maayos.
Yun, oo. So, thank you, Sir Paul. Okay, last question tayo kay Mami Dai Cyril. Okay. For laptops po, ano po talaga yung recommended hours for usage kapag kunyari, mga graphics po ang madalas na ginagawang task po?
Actually, ma'am, wala naman pong limit. As long as you ensure that your laptop or your desktop is well ventilated. For laptops, it's better if naka-prop up siya. Nakaangat yung underside kasi ng regular laptops, nandun yung vents. Or minsan yung vents nandun sa likod ng keyboard or nasa gitna, yung nasa hinge. So make sure that it's propped up para nagsisirculate yung hangin. Wala naman pong masama sa number of hours mong ginagamit as long as it's properly ventilated. And siguro maganda rin yung halimbawa, medyo malamig yung panahon. So, yeah. And mararamdaman niyo yun, ma'am. Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Opo, tama ba ako, sir? Yung may cooling pad, pwede rin siya? Effective po ba?
Actually, pag yung cooling pad, na-block niya yung vents, it's gonna be bad, actually. Mas maganda po siguro kung yung cooling pad, ilalagay niyo dun sa parts ng laptop na walang vents. Pero pag sa vents, dapat open po siya.
Okay.
Block
Noted yan.
yung vents po. Opo. Tapos ma'am, actually your computer will warn you naman if it's overheating na. It would shut down by itself. Pero huwag natin papaabutin sa ganyan. There are software that could actually monitor your computer's temperature. So pag sumobra na siya sa mga 80 degrees or 90 degrees Celsius, ibig sabihin you have to either turn off some programs or ipahinga muna natin yung PC natin. So you could check po yung mga temperature monitoring. Usually sa MSI, meron po silang free na software that you could use to monitor your computer's temperature.
Uy, nice. Okay. Thank you, Sir Paul.
Thank you
Okay.
po.
Bago po kayo mag-final message sa mga mommies natin, please promote your social media accounts ng IRent Mo. At
Yes,
saka,
thank you po.
ano po yung ano nyo, final message sa mga mommies, lalo na doon sa mga nahihirapan pagdating sa pagto-troubleshoot. Ayan, don't worry mommies, kung meron kayong gustong isuggest na topic natin for the next webinar, feel free po to comment it down kasi inaano po natin yan. Nire-report natin kina Sir Paul para maihanda yung
Opo.
susunod na topic for our webinar. Okay. Sir Paul?
Thank you, Mommy. Buddy, you could check out our website. It's irentmo.com. You could also check out our Instagram and TikTok. Pareho po, irentmo without any space. So may mga videos din kami doon about our products. And siguro next time mag-i-include na rin kami ng mga tips to help mommies deal with tech-related issues. So siguro ang advice ko lang po sa mga mommies is uh, there's no such thing as hindi techie. It's a matter of kasi ako I started out just parang wala rin talaga akong alam sa mga computers. Pero meron akong konting interest. So siguro yung sa experience ko lang yung nagkaroon ng computer virus, yung dati kong PC and I had to parang troubleshoot it myself. Yung experience lang of going through it. As long as uh, marunong ka mag-Google actually. Google is really uh, wag lang magpapanik. And use your phone to Google. Kasi minsan pagka nagka-problem yung PC natin, hindi na natin magamit, di ba? You use your phone to Google and then worst case scenario, dali na lang sa technician. Kasi they would really know what to do. And dapat trusted technician kasi baka
Oh,
nakawin din yung
yes.
info na. Yes. Make sure that it's a
Agree.
trusted technician. Opo. And not just anyone. Ganun.
Mahirap, Sir Paul, magtiwala, no? Lalo na kung kunyari,
Opo.
baka sabihin lang na okay lang mag-upgrade, kailangan ng ganito. So, trusted technician. Ayan.
Opo.
And other things po, gusto pa po kayong gina-advise sa
Sorry.
kanila?
Yun po, advice po. Siguro, it's good na to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Kasi, alam ko minsan parang baka yung mga husbands nyo or partners nyo naiirita. At least nasabi nyo, di ba? And kasi yung wife ko rin, si Awi, hindi rin siya masyadong I wouldn't call it hindi siya techie. It's more on wala lang siyang patience to deal with computer problems, ganun. Siguro kasi busy siya with a lot of things. And ayun, so just tell them. Kasi I'm pretty sure that two heads are better than one in thinking of a solution to any type of problem. And then yun nga, last resort Google.
Yes, and talaga, okay lang. Well, hindi masamang magtanong, Mams, kahit nandito na yung partner.
Hindi ka siya magtanong.
Agree. And last one sabi po ni Mami Casey Remolta, thank you so much po. Very helpful at ang dami kong natutunan. Yay!
We're glad.
We're
so
happy
happy
po na marami. Yes, ang dami nating natutunan tonight and we look forward, Sir Paul, no? Next month, makakasama po muli namin kayo para pag-usapan ang ibang tech issues na tayo, no? Or ibang questions ninyo or topics about sa computer, sa laptop. So pag-uusapan natin yan sa susunod na buwan naman uli, mga momshies. Muli, maraming salamat, Sir Paul, and see you again.
We look forward po next one. Bye-bye.
Yes, opo. Excited na po kami. Ayan. Thank you. Maraming salamat, Sir Paul Ian Serrato, ang partner po natin sa FHMoms, no? Pagdating sa Study Now, Pay Later, installment plans, tsaka po dun sa computer rent-to-own programs. Yan po ay kapartner ng FHMoms, ang IRent Mo. So sa mga mommies natin, if you have questions or concerns, you may also follow their social media pages. Flash po uli natin. And i-comment din namin ito sa comment section. Very good. Facebook, it's IRent Mo. Yun po ang kanilang page. Ang website po nila, it's irentmo.com. Sa IG, TikTok, IRent Mo. Wala pong space, small caps po lahat. So, kung meron po kayong gustong makita kung ano yung mga products na meron sila, ganyan, kindly check their website, their social media pages para updated po kayo. Kasi may mga promos din sila, nakakatuwa. So, again, sa mga mommies natin, it's huling araw ng Agosto. So bukas ay magpaparamdam na uli si Jose Marie Chan. And ingat po tayong lahat dahil stay safe, stay dry po mga mommies. Ingat po and have a great night. See you po ulit sa mga susunod na webinars natin. Bye!
Tara na tumutok na sa FHMoms Radio habang ika'y nagre-relax sa bahay mo.
FHMoms Radio, changing lives, one mom at a time. Moving forward, giving back with FHMoms Radio.
Tara na tumutok na sa FHMoms Radio habang ika'y nagre-relax sa bahay mo. Marami kang matututunan dahil di lang basta chikahan. FHMoms Radio, mga mamshi ating to.
Tara na mga mamshi, mami, nanay o mama, andito na ang FHMoms makakasama. Ang online radio na magbibigay advice at mga kwento na siguradong mapapanay. Ito ay hindi lang basta mga chikahan, andito sila upang ikaw ay gabayan. Turuan ng mga tips sa paghahanap buhay at maging isa ka sa successful na nanay. O diba? Kaya saan ka pa? Basta ikaw ay momshi, dito bida ka. FHMoms Radio, #1. Ito ang online radio ng sangkanan na yan. Di ka lang basta nanay, ikaw ay super nanay. Para sa pamilya ang lahat ay iaalay. Lahat ibibigay, lahat ay kayang gawin. Ang iyong pagiging nanay lalo pang palakasin.
FHMoms Radio.
Tara na tumutok na sa FHMoms Radio habang ika'y nagre-relax sa bahay mo. Marami kang matututunan dahil di lang basta chikahan. FHMoms Radio, mga mamshi ating to. Mga mamshi, tara na, dito'y bidang-bida ka. Ipagmalaki natin na tayo'y magigiting nga ina. Mga mami, tara na, dito'y bidang-bida ka. Ipagmalaki natin na tayo'y magigiting nga ina.
FHMoms Radio.
Tara na tumutok na sa FHMoms Radio habang ika'y nagre-relax sa bahay mo. Marami kang matututunan dahil di lang basta chikahan. FHMoms Radio, mga mamshi ating to. Tara na tumutok na sa FHMoms Radio habang ika'y nagre-relax sa bahay mo. Marami kang matututunan dahil di lang basta chikahan. FHMoms Radio, mga mamshi ating to.
Tambay na! Nagbabalik ang FHMoms Radio.